There is a recall for broccoli sold at Walmart that could be contaminated with listeria.
You try to eat right. A few vegetables with dinner, maybe some fruit for breakfast, just like your doctor says. But today's grocery stores are not giving you what you think. Some of that produce, it is washed in chlorine, sprayed to shine, and weeks past its prime. This is not the food you grew up with, and by the end of this video you will understand why that is more dangerous now than ever before. Let us start with Walmart, America's biggest grocery store chain, the place where you can buy socks, a blender, and a zucchini within 15 feet of each other. But when it comes to vegetables, Walmart is not the deal it pretends to be. Former employees have revealed some ugly truths about what is going on behind those automatic doors. One ex-produce worker in Texas said, "We used to get boxes of lettuce that were already going bad. We just peeled off the slimy outer leaves, sprayed it down, and tossed it on the shelf." Walmart's obsession with low prices creates a ripple effect. They push suppliers to meet rock-bottom costs, which often means the vegetables are picked early, stored longer, and trucked further before hitting the store. That bag of spinach you grabbed on a Sunday morning might have been harvested 10 days ago in another state, sat in transit for 4 days, and then stored in the back cooler until the shelf needed refilling. And in some cases, the produce is not even kept cold consistently. Multiple whistleblowers have posted videos from store back rooms where pallets of cucumbers sat at room temperature overnight because no one had time to unload the truck properly. It is not just about freshness, it is about sanitation. A customer in North Carolina posted a photo of a Walmart cabbage display crawling with gnats. The store's response: "We are looking into it." Great. In another location, a toddler was caught on camera licking tomatoes from a lower bin. No employee intervened for over 3 minutes. That same bin refilled later that day without being cleaned. Then there is the labeling. You might see a sticker that says organic or local. But according to a 2022 investigation, several Walmart stores were caught mislabeling imported vegetables from Mexico as locally grown. Not only is that misleading, it can also be a safety issue. Imported vegetables may have been grown using pesticides banned in the United States or washed in untreated water. Now let us walk a few aisles over to Safeway, a store that tries to look upscale with soft lighting, tidy displays, and prices that scream, "We know you forgot to check the receipt." But beneath the surface, Safeway has had its own share of produce problems. Former employees have described a common practice known as rotation theater. That is where older, wilted produce is placed on top of the newer shipments to sell it faster. So if you thought you were getting a just-delivered head of romaine, you were probably just buying yesterday's regret. And the funny thing is, Safeway is not even subtle about it. A viral Reddit post from a former employee showed a crate of moldy bell peppers being wiped clean with paper towels and placed directly on the display. The manager's exact words: "If the customer does not touch it, they will not know." Temperature control is also a recurring issue. In multiple health inspections from the past 5 years, Safeway locations in California, Washington, and Arizona were flagged for improper cooling of perishables. That means your pre-cut watermelon cup might have spent hours in the danger zone. That is between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, where bacteria multiply like crazy. One location was found to have a broken walk-in cooler, and the solution: move everything to the floral fridge and hope for the best. Let us talk about cleanliness, or lack of it. Safeway's vegetable misting systems, the ones that make the lettuce glisten and the radishes look like they just ran a marathon, are rarely cleaned as often as they should be. One employee said, "There is stuff growing in the pipes. You do not see it, but you smell it when you open the back valve." In other words, that refreshing mist might be a sneeze from a fungus colony. Customers have complained about more than just appearance. One shopper in Oregon found a tiny worm curled up inside her pre-washed spinach bag. Another in Colorado said she bit into a cherry tomato and found it was completely black inside. It still looked fine on the outside. She posted a video showing the tomato collapse in her hand like a wet balloon. The worst part? It came from a fresh pick of the day display. Even the organic section is not immune. At some Safeway locations, employees admitted that when they run out of organic kale, they will sometimes just grab regular kale and slap it into the empty bin to avoid gaps on the shelf. That means customers are paying a premium for a label that means nothing. And then there is the issue of packaging. Those pre-cut vegetable trays might look convenient, but they are also a ticking time bomb. The cut edges give bacteria a fast track in, and the plastic wrap traps moisture, which is bacteria's best friend. One former deli worker said, "If you would not eat a wet carrot after it sat on your counter for 12 hours, you should not be eating these." At both Walmart and Safeway, the produce section is built for optics. Keep it colorful, keep it full, keep it moving. But what is missing behind that glossy green surface is the care, the handling, and the basic food safety that customers assume is happening. You might think, well, I will just wash it. Sure, that helps. But it does not fix vegetables that were already contaminated before they hit your cart, or veggies that sat in a broken cooler for 2 days before being displayed. And here's the twist. These stores count on you not noticing. They know most people do not inspect their celery under a lamp. They know you will not pull apart every leaf of romaine. But once you start looking closer, you will notice the wilted ends, the soft spots, the condensation in packages that should not be there. You will start asking questions like, why does this asparagus smell like gym socks? Or how is this bag of salad already slimy and I just bought it yesterday? Walmart and Safeway may be titans of the grocery world, but when it comes to vegetables, the customer is not always right. They are just the last to know. If this is already making you check your fridge a little closer, give this video a like and hit subscribe. We are just getting started. Now let's take a look at Kroger. On paper, Kroger is the second largest grocery chain in the United States. But bigger does not always mean better, especially when it comes to vegetables. While their produce section may look colorful and inviting, some of the practices behind the scenes are anything but fresh. One former Kroger produce clerk spilled the truth on a popular message board. "We had a standing rule to rotate everything except when we were short-staffed, which was almost always. That meant old stuff sat out way longer than it should have." Multiple employees confirmed that produce shipments often arrive in half-rotted condition, especially bananas, tomatoes, and strawberries, and the fix is usually cosmetic. Wipe it, stack it, sell it. In fact, some stores use what is known as the miracle spray. It is a combination of lemon juice and cold water. The purpose? Not to clean, but to give wilted lettuce and spinach a second life on the shelf. Customers think they are buying fresh. They're just buying slightly better looking spoiled. Let us talk about the pre-cut section. Bagged lettuce, diced onions, celery sticks, veggie trays. You might think you are saving time, but you could be buying a bacteria playground. The issue? Time and temperature. At some Kroger stores, employees have admitted to assembling these packs at the beginning of the day, leaving them out for hours before they are refrigerated, or skipping the fridge entirely when space runs out. One insider said, "It is not uncommon to find veggie trays sitting out in the back room for half a shift before anyone remembers to put them away." Kroger has also been dinged for misleading signage. In a 2021 audit, multiple locations were caught displaying locally grown labels on imported produce. That fresh local zucchini? It had a shipping label from Guatemala. Customers filed complaints, but most never got a response. There is also the issue of pests. In Cincinnati, a shopper filmed a video of flies crawling across the mushrooms and bell peppers. The store responded with a statement promising enhanced sanitation protocols. But 2 weeks later, a similar video surfaced from a nearby store. And it is not just insects. One Kroger location in Georgia was temporarily closed after a customer found rodent droppings behind a produce cooler. The worst part: the droppings were discovered by the customer, not the store. Another tactic that should raise eyebrows: Kroger's produce value bins. These are large tubs of mixed vegetables offered at deep discounts. But where does that produce come from? According to several workers, it is the damaged, bruised, and nearly expired leftovers that can no longer be sold at full price. One employee put it like this: "If you see a value bin, just know someone had to dig through the trash to make it." Let us pivot to Food Lion, a chain that is especially popular across the southeastern United States. Their slogan is easy, fresh, and affordable. Two of those might be true, but the fresh part, that is debatable. Food Lion's produce section is often smaller than its competitors, which makes it harder to hide the aging vegetables. One shopper in Virginia posted a photo of celery stalks that were so dried out they had turned brown at the base. And yet they were still displayed with a manager's special sticker. A former worker confirmed, "If we could sell it before the mold appeared, it went out on the floor." Like other budget chains, Food Lion relies heavily on bulk deliveries, sometimes only once or twice per week. That means vegetables like cucumbers, bell peppers, and kale may sit for several days before being unpacked and displayed. One whistleblower from North Carolina said the store's backroom cooler was so overstuffed that crates of vegetables were sometimes stacked in the hallway without any refrigeration. When it comes to food safety, Food Lion has had its share of public embarrassments. In a 2019 state inspection, a location in South Carolina was cited for holding pre-cut fruit at over 55 degrees. That is 15 degrees above the recommended limit. The inspector also noted that salad mix packages were leaking onto other items. The store's fix: wipe them off and put them back out. Even more disturbing, several Food Lion employees have posted online about managers encouraging workers to repurpose expired produce. That means old tomatoes might end up chopped into pico de gallo. Wilted spinach might go into a fresh sauté blend. One cook in the deli said, "If it can be chopped, we use it. Even if it is slimy, we just trim the edges." Customers have also reported unpleasant surprises. A woman in Alabama posted a video of a sealed bag of carrots from Food Lion that were covered in a slimy residue and already turning gray inside the bag. Another shopper from Tennessee said their bag of coleslaw mix had live bugs crawling inside, despite a sell-by date that was still 5 days away. And it is not just about the vegetables themselves. Food Lion's produce displays are often made of rough wood or porous plastic. That might not sound alarming until you realize these surfaces are rarely sanitized. Bacteria, moisture, and old food particles can build up in the cracks. One employee admitted, "We clean them once a week." Maybe. Most of the time we just sweep out the old lettuce bits. So what does all this tell us? At Kroger and Food Lion, the produce section is not a place of precision and pride. It is a stage, a set, a well-lit illusion. And the second you look behind the curtain, you realize just how fragile the performance is. The colors are brighter than the quality. The freshness is faked with the mister. And the trust. It is built on the hope that no one looks too closely. But once you know what to look for, the condensation inside plastic wrap, the shriveled kale on the bottom shelf, the way the pre-cut carrots turn white at the edges, you can never unsee it. And these are not isolated cases, they are patterns, habits, cost-cutting tactics wrapped in green produce bags and fogged-up glass cases. You are not just shopping for vegetables, you are gambling with freshness, with safety, and with your standards. And the worst part, you do not find out until you are already home, halfway through dinner, and wondering why your salad tastes like old water and regret. Now let us look at Giant, a grocery chain with a name that promises scale but not necessarily standards. On the surface, Giant's produce section looks like any other. Clean aisles, stacked fruits, bright lighting. But that lighting might be doing more than you think. Multiple former employees revealed that specific produce displays at Giant stores are carefully arranged not for rotation, but for optical effect. One said, "They told us to build towers with the newer stuff on top, older on bottom. The goal was simple, make it look full." That means the tomato you grabbed from the middle of the pile might have been sitting there since Monday. One customer from Pennsylvania posted a picture of a plastic-wrapped veggie tray with condensation trapped inside. The caption? "Looks like it is sweating out its regrets." Another shopper showed a bag of spinach bought from Giant that turned black just 2 days after purchase. When they checked the package date again, they noticed something odd. The date was rubbed off, not removed. Just enough smudge to be unreadable. There have also been problems with stock rotation. A former produce worker described how expired cucumbers and tomatoes were routinely pulled off shelves, resorted, and sold in pre-packaged deals like 3 for $2. When asked why, the manager replied, "Better in a sale than in the bin." Giant has also struggled with pest issues. In 2022, a Maryland location had to discard hundreds of pounds of produce after a fruit fly infestation spread from the banana shelf to the leafy greens. But before the fruit was pulled, it sat on the floor for hours, still available for customers to buy. One shopper noticed a layer of gnats hovering over the organic apples. Another said the cilantro had visible webs between the stems. The bigger issue: training. One employee explained that the average Giant produce worker gets less than 2 hours of training on food safety before being expected to manage the entire department solo during off hours. And this brings us to Family Dollar. Yes, Family Dollar sells vegetables. Not in every store, but enough of them stock canned, packaged, and even fresh produce to warrant attention. The problem is, those stores are often the ones you do not want to buy from. In 2023, the company made headlines when over 400 stores were forced to temporarily close due to a massive rodent infestation at a central warehouse. That warehouse supplied dozens of Family Dollar locations with food, including fruits and vegetables. According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, inspectors found live rodents, dead rodents, rodent feces, and urine in areas used for food storage and distribution. And the response? The company pulled affected goods, but quietly and not always completely. Some customers reported buying canned vegetables from stores that were part of the recall zone weeks after the announcement. Others noticed strange odors from bags of onions and garlic that had passed their expiration dates by months. But even without warehouse drama, the in-store practices are questionable. Many Family Dollar locations do not have proper refrigeration units for vegetables. That means anything perishable is kept on room temperature shelves for hours or days before anyone checks. One employee confessed, "If the AC goes out, we keep selling stuff unless it smells." Some stores receive produce just once a week, and sometimes not at all. One manager said that their weekly deliveries sometimes skipped produce entirely, so they reused old stock or borrowed from expired displays to keep shelves from looking empty. Moldy bell peppers were wiped down, soft potatoes were rotated forward, and shriveled onions dusted with a cloth and placed back in the bin. There have even been reports of repackaging. A customer from Georgia said they found a plastic produce bag labeled "Best by January" in late March, with the sticker replaced. When they asked the cashier, the response was, "It is still good, just dry." Spoiler, it was not. And let us not forget location conditions. Family Dollar stores in lower income areas often suffer from underfunding, understaffing, and poor maintenance. Dirty floors, broken coolers, and leaking ceilings are not rare. They are a routine. Combine that with a produce section, and you get a recipe for disaster. So what can you do? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The safest, cleanest, and most nutritious vegetables are not guaranteed by a brand name or a glossy flyer. You cannot shop blind anymore, not in this economy, and not with these store habits. The solution is not to trust a name on a sign. It is to train your eyes. Learn what real freshness looks like. Snap the stems. Smell the leaves. Check for sweat under plastic. If the carrots bend instead of snap, walk away. If the pre-cut salad smells like sour vinegar, you are not imagining things. And if that tomato is shinier than your shoes, ask yourself why. You have more power than you think. Every time you skip a moldy bin, every time you put down a bruised bag of lettuce, every time you say no thanks to a soggy value pack, you are sending a message. And that message travels to the store, to the supplier, to the industry. Because food is not just about price, it is about trust. And once that trust is broken, a sale is not worth the stomachache. So look closer, ask questions, and do not let the word fresh fool you again. You deserve to know what you are really bringing home. Tap like, hit subscribe, and help someone else see behind the shine. And remember, the truth is not always on the menu.